Hello, my name is Ernie Vargas, and we're going to be talking about the cons on hormones and antibiotics in cattle. How synthetic hormones were developed. Synthetic hormones were extracted and processed from animal urine. History of deaths. It was first used in 1954. Two-thirds of the cattle in the nation were injected with this hormone. It was the first product used to give the cattle a faster growth rate. It was also banned from Europe in 1977. This hormone was first proposed to be used on pregnant women. In 1954, scientists used it on a rat and later on dairy cattle to produce more milk and growth rate. Three types of synthetic hormones: estrogen compound, Zeneral; androgen trenbolone acetate; progestin melangestrol acetate. Estrogen compound Zeneral. Women have been believed to develop cancer. Young children, also known as boys, develop enlarged breasts. There was this one kid from Italy and Puerto Rico that stopped eating all the food that had estrogen compound Zeneral, and their breasts slowly disappeared. Androgen trenbolone acetate. Studies have shown negative results, and there has been no documented cases on the human health. Progestin melangestrol acetate. There has been found early puberty with this synthetic hormone and also reproductive problems in males. History of synthetic hormones. It has been used since the 1900s to try to increase production. It has been linked to various conditions to human health. Many conditions were not only proven in the United States but also in European countries. In the 1960s, Germany, Italy, and Denmark banned all hormones in beef. In 1977, all of Europe banned hormones in beef. The effects of synthetic hormones. There has been found cancer, early puberty, reproductive problems, and males growing breasts. Dairy cattle hormones use effects. The bovine growth hormone used in dairy cattle has been linked to various types of cancer. There has also been found diabetes. Some studies show bacteria and potential pus in the milk of certain cows who get infected. Using RBGH may cause higher rates of udder infections in cows called mastitis, which in turn increases the use of antibiotics to treat those animals. There has also been a case found that drugs have been going over the legal limit. This case was found in Ohio. Penicillin, fluoxetine, sulfametoxine, gentamicin, sulfametoxine, tamsulosin, tetracycline, and penicillin were all found in the cattle. RBGH effects. There's cancer cases continue to increase. Medical experts declared it unsafe. It contains insulin and also diabetes.
Hello, my name is Morgan Barrett, and now we're going to talk about the three natural hormones approved for the use in cattle: testosterone, estradiol, and progesterone. Testosterone is used to encourage muscle growth, while estradiol is used to induce growth as well as the development of the reproductive tract, while progesterone is used to increase weight gain and feed efficiency. All three of these hormones are administered through an implant located in the cattle's ear. The hormone pellet then dissolves slowly under the skin. What are the concerns and negatives, you might ask? Why should you be concerned? The American Public Health Association believes the use of added hormones in cattle are part of the cause of hormone-related development and chronic diseases that are on the rise. The chronic diseases include breast and prostate cancer, thyroid disease, diabetes, uterine fibroids, and infertility. A lesser-known side effect of these added hormones is a 25% increase in the toughness of meat. These growth stimulants affect much more than the consumer. They are also negatively impacting our environment. Although humorously depicted in the cartoon in the upper right-hand corner, the concern is real. Scientists are concerned about the environmental impact of growth stimulants and have conducted studies that prove to back their concerns. Hormone residue leaks from manure into the environment, contaminating soil, surface, and groundwater. Aquatic ecosystems are particularly vulnerable. Studies have been done on minnows and contaminated water sources that back the concern. While the U.S. government's position is that hormone residues in beef from adult cattle pose no threat to human health, this assumption is untested by long-term studies. In fact, the European Union believes that there is a possible threat, so much in fact that in 1988 the European Union banned all hormone growth promoters. On average, 1.5 nanograms of growth hormone are detected in hormone-supplemented beef per 3-ounce serving, compared to 1.3 nanograms in a non-beef hormone-supplemented beef. While this is less than a 1 nanogram increase, it's still a 42% increase in the amount of growth hormone found in 3 ounces of beef. Antibiotics are another current controversial topic in cattle. We're all familiar with antibiotics, medicines that are given to people and animals to treat or prevent certain illnesses caused by bacteria in animals and people. However, in cattle, sickness isn't the only purpose for their use. Some antibiotics help cattle grow faster and make them more feed efficient. For this reason, antibiotics are put in the cattle's feed and water. In this image, we see a representation of how much more antibiotics are consumed in cattle compared to humans. 70% of antibiotics are consumed by animals, while only 30% are consumed by humans. The American Academy of Pediatricians urges farmers to reduce their use of antibiotics. The excessive use of antibiotics makes bacteria stronger and more drug resistant. Over 2 million people become ill due to drug-resistant bacteria, and of those 2 million, more than 23,000 of them are children younger than 5 years old. But this isn't where the negatives of antibiotics stop. You don't even need to consume beef for the hormones to contaminate your food. Antibiotics are not completely absorbed in the stomach. The leftover antibiotics are then excreted in urine and feces, which make up manure. The antibiotic-ridden manure is then used to fertilize crops and enrich the soil. A study was conducted to see if the antibiotics from the manure were being absorbed into plants using 3 different crops: corn, green onion, and cabbage. All 3 crops absorbed the antibiotic drug chlorotetracycline, and while it was initially in small amounts, it was found that the more antibiotics that were found in the manure, the larger the amounts of antibiotics that were found in the plant tissue. Due to these findings from the American Society of Agronomy, scientists have said there is a possibility of enhanced antimicrobial resistance due to the consumption of these crops. This makes illness harder to treat. The bottom line is that there are some real risks associated with the use of added hormones, both natural and artificial, as well as antibiotics, that we need to be aware of. While they may have advantages, we need to make the public aware of the risks involved and be more responsible when it comes to how these additives affect the cattle as well as the environment. As far as personal opinions go, I'm personally for the use of hormones and antibiotics in cattle. Due to our ever-growing population and the steady decrease in farmland, it's not feasible to believe that we can produce enough milk and beef for everyone. These growth stimulants make it more efficient, both financially and economically, to sustain our society. And antibiotics keep the cattle from getting sick and cure them of their illness so they don't have to suffer.
Hello, it's Ernie again, and my personal opinion is I'm for cattle getting synthetic hormones injected into them. Yes, there has been a lot of discoveries in the human health. We all have cancer cells in us. It only takes something to trigger those cells into full effect. However, people can get cancer triggered by something else. And the males growing breast can be a genetic cause. For example, the kid in Puerto Rico and Italy, they both were also eating poultry, so it couldn't have been just the cattle. Diabetes. Diabetes in this case can be caused by anything else. For example, soda and candy can trigger to get diabetes. Furthermore, synthetic hormones can be good for our production. There has been rare cases and studies that have found negative results, but there's always going to be a negative to every product. Having too much of something can be the cause of getting a disease. For example, soda can make your livers go bad if you have too much of it. Also, candy. Candy can make you get diabetes. All in all, every product is going to have pros and cons. And that ends our presentation.